to Appy. Our topic for today, 3 rules of thumb when it comes to slides and slide presentations. And our agenda for the day. Take a quick scan, and if you're comfortable with what our topics are and where we're going, give me an emoticon in the chat. Smiley face, no frowny faces. If something inspired you to come today and you don't see it on our agenda, feel free to throw that in the chat as well. We're starting with presentations, and then we're going to have 3 rules of thumb, and go up with a little break room PD. Presentation. I ask you a question. What do all these have in common? And throw your thoughts in the chat. Active. Tools and graphics. Teachers, absolutely. These are all, if we're in a generic non-Kleenex type world, these are all versions of slideware or presentation tools. It's funny, in the past I've asked folks which ones they've used or have never used, and it's surprising the number of folks who've told me they've never taught with Hyper Studio. I get that, but never taught with a chalkboard. They've always had a whiteboard or Promethean board. So, but nonetheless, these are all presentation tools. But even though, like, we know, and sometimes we forget it, that the presentation tool itself is not the presentation. So just because you made a PowerPoint doesn't mean you have a presentation on your hands. And just because you have slides doesn't mean you have a presentation. And we all know this because we know that using a chalkboard does not a presentation make. Each of these different tools is really a visual aid. And our focus today is going to be on how you create a presentation that does the very best of what we know to be true about how to do a great presentation. And if you want to follow along with me, I'm actually going to switch my screen in just a second, and we're going to head to an actual slides presentation, which will guide the rest of our time today. The link I just threw in the chat will actually take you to that slide presentation should you wish to go there. I'll switch over. My screen's going to switch for just a second, and I'm going to take you to that. But you can go to it by clicking on that link, provided you're logged into your Google Apps for EDU account. It's going to take just a quick sec.
I need to change the sharing permissions because I am in my Google account.
Sometimes on my computer a little longer than a sec, but we've all had a computer like that at some point in our world. I guess when the chalkboard becomes even more useful. Of course, until the chalk breaks, so there's always something. So this will come on over.
It's asking for access.
And here we go.
Carry access to the please.
I'm going to paste my own link. Coming up, note that we can continue this conversation, which is great fun, over the chat, even though we switch to you looking at my screen. If you roll up to the very top of your screen with your mouse, you'll see there's a little chat icon, and if you click on it, you'll be able to see what's going on. And actually, always a good rule of thumb with presentations is you need to make sure you share for your audience. So let's just double check and make sure I've done that. The modeling for later, people. It's one of our skills that you need permission to do so. Or anyone can see this one. In this. Hey, if you tried to go there and it took you a quick second, I'm done. So you can just go ahead and press refresh, and then you'll be able to see what's going on. able to see Lynn's question there because I was looking at the chat. So make sure you have the chat up as well as you could have the slide up, or you just be looking at my version of the presentation. Okay, 3 thumb. For all, right? Let's do our first rule. The first is your words and images should match. Kind of like, despite the fact my 4-year-old thinks that velvet and taffeta and words match, she's not correct. And the same is true with your presentations. You want to make sure that the words you're saying on the screen, like you did a great job, with these. We all know this. We know that this would confuse an end user, and we want to make sure that we have those images matched. We also want to make sure, in that case, take a look at an example of the topic of the text here. This is it's probably one of the most common things I've seen out there, where the images are on the screen, but what are matched to the purpose of the slide. So enough, because it's a really good example. There's a lot of pictures here, but why are they here? Are they matched to the topic? In this case, we've taken the same information all over the place, match, 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 and here it's now matched to. Family is clear why it's there, weather is clear, friendship is clear, school is clear. The miscellaneous information, like the example, has shifted to the side. So you've made sure your visuals match with the words you're sharing. They're now teaching, they're not just there for fun. Throw because you think it's pretty or cute or nice really is a poor way to go. You want to make sure your images match to what you're trying to teach and help enforce those concepts. Match is, of course, coordinations. When you take a look at this slide, it's probably pretty obvious which of these don't match. Baby might be cute. Mom's hands are adorable, but has matching real pictures and images is a match in your images. You want to pick what you're going with and what your look and feel is, and stick to it. Not only is it going to make your life easier because you're going to have a consistent look and feel, your presentations are going to look much more professional. You can't mix and match any way you want to clip art. So gosh darn it, I better show you ways to get better images. So the first of these skills, which is advanced search. Now before, go ahead and give me a yay, or I've used it in the chat, because you have some advice as well to throw in as I go. And you're going to be surprised, it's there all along for you. So Lynn have totally used advanced search. Fantastic. I'm going to search for a topic here. We're going to go babies. I'm a baby kick today. And here's babies. But there's a problem with these little babies. I have the right to use them. They may, figuratively, they're not mine. These aren't my children. So here's where, in search tools, I get this whole list of tools. If I've committed to using just art, I can filter for just clip art. I decided to match the look and feel of my presentation or photos, I can just photos. But again, these babies, I have the right usage rights. So click on usage rights, you can filter for reuse with modification. All of these images have been labeled for reuse with modification. So any of these are just fine. You can click on them and use them in your presentation. You can wider for a more narrow focus, but labeled for non-commercial with reuse, and another set here. So they find images and ensure that you're allowed to use them. Throw them in the chat. If you are good, no questions, give me a smiley face. And if that was new to you, you can give me an exclamation point. Use a like it, use one. I know it's just pretty cool. exclamation points there. So if this was cool, let's jump to our next trick, which is love Google search, but here's another one. It's called Pixabay. Again, if you've used it, throw that in the chat. Pixabay website. As you can see, I chose to add it to my, it's so important to me, it's actually on my bookmarks bar. And come over, and I type baby again. Up, we have babies from Shutterstock. So they're very nice babies, but we don't want you because you cost money. We want to come down here to the free babies. Just like search for babies, I can also filter all images, and I can do just my photo babies and search. Come in and do just my illustrations or my vector graphics. This baby. So I'm going to click on this nice little neutral green baby. Now here's the kicker with Pixabay. It is a public domain, so it's free for commercial use and no attribution required. So you can use these pictures and you don't have to attribute where it came from. You can just use them. Which of all the pictures I used today came from Pixabay. To do it, you can go view. And you can, right here, I'm on a regular computer, so I can copy the image. If on a Chromebook, I use an extension called Save Image to Google Drive, and I can click right here and save it to my Google Drive folder. It's called, and Lynn can type it in the chat, Save Image to Google Drive. So if you were looking for it in the Chrome store, you would search for Save Image to Google Drive. So well. A great place to get is you view them and copy them, or you can save it to Google Drive. Questions? Put them in the chat. If you're face and if you liked it, exclamation point. And for you as well. In fact, you know, I'm going to, before we disappear from here, I'm going to pop this little bad boy in the chat. That was Pixabay. And we go to a third one, and almost new to me. This may be really new out there. It's definitely new to me. And this is called Photos for Class. It's brought to you from the folks who do Storyboard That. If anybody's used it, I'm going to give a plug. Feel free. And you can come in again and search baby. And photos. So here I am. Here's lots and lots of pictures of babies. I was going for baby monkey. So I got here. As you can see for me, it'll download, but you can also view it in Flickr. And they have a fairly extensive, they wrote up their policy of what pictures they use, but like how they show it to you. But pretty much, if it's Creative Commons, if it's free for your use, you can take it, and they embed in the watermark the attribution. So they put the attribution right in the picture so everyone can see where you got it, and they're totally cool for you and your students to use. Still, some is you want things to match. You want to make sure your image is speaking to the words. You want to make sure your image matches with the other images, and they coordinate. And it can be a challenge, except for the fact that you can use awesome stuff like Pixabay, Photos for Class, and the image search to find just the right picture. Any exclamation points? Or smile. Let's hop over to my little presentation here, my rules of thumb. And to engage. I'm going to click on Present up here, which will make it go full screen. When you image on a screen, you have 8 seconds before I stop listening to you. You have 8 seconds in which you have to actually grab your student your presentation, whoever's sitting in front of you's attention. Putting your speaker notes on the screen is a way to grab your attention. Now, of course, this is fake text. This is kind of a famous fake texty thing. But I put it up here as an example to say, don't do this. It's a really awful thing for us. I mean, it does great things, and I love PowerPoint. But if it did one awful thing, it made us lazy presenters, because instead of creating visual aids to engage people, putting our speaker notes on the screen and read faster than we listen. So when you put your notes on the screen and start talking, you have 8 seconds until that student has finished reading the screen or finished done with it and has moved on. It's easy not to do this. The younger your audience is, because it's engaging to them at all. To engage your audience, I've got 3 kind of subcategories for this. The first is ask questions. This is go big or go home. And third is to make sure you share. Now, what I mean with how we engage our students. With gimmicky, like connect to them on their level, or not that it's really gimmicky, but you hear it all the time, like connect on their level, relate it to their lives, you know, all stuff. Well, I'm going way simpler than that. I'm what brain research tells us. If you engage them, ask them questions, don't tell. Be genetically wired to want to answer questions. It's one of the fun, goofy things of the world, is that even if they don't want to listen to you, if you ask them a question, their brain is going to try and fathom an answer. So sneak those questions in. This is grade level. It's a great example of missing an opportunity to ask a question. There's a picture. The students could look at it, and naturally they want to wonder what's going on. But the teacher put all the notes on the screen. Why? If just give the words taught, we give a kid a book and not talk to him until June. Instead, ask questions. It's on the screen here, but the students are already primed and ready to wonder, what does it depict? And if you look at it, actually, they can figure it out. And here, what basic ideals, they're also a cue for what they should be writing down. You know your notes did a good job if you can answer this question later. And putting all this gobbledygook on the screen, especially, Arlene, if we're talking about nonverbal and can't communicate, instead of putting all the gobbledygook answer on the screen, that's what you say because you're the grown-up. And you need to use your text, like if you don't want to lose it, like these are your speaker notes, copy them and throw them down here in the notes screen. So this would be on the question. So you throw your notes on the screen down here. Then you have them for later, but the question on the screen directs to the students. Come back to present. So I was going to ask you, what do you think this question should be? But I kind of went too fast. So instead of saying what this is, just say what the symbols of communism are. More, we'll talk about some ways to go nonverbal, because our brains are really wired to respond to images. But using big images, big or go home is what my next one is, and pairing them with minimal words isn't just something we would do for nonverbal or students who can't communicate or the young. It's actually a better way to engage our listeners, our students. They'll hear what we're saying, they're prompted with the minimal words on the screen, and can capture notes. It's the engagement. And the simplest trick I have for you is ask a question. Don't tell them what it is. Ask what it is. Go home. Exactly. Go big. Don't make your presentation small. Make them as big as you can possibly get it. As you can use where the students can really get in and look at it and make a good guess, the better. So, that space. Go big. is a tiny little moment. What's small? Go big. It's probably a topic. The only reason I would want to see them all together is perhaps to say, compare. You need tiny images on the screen. Instead, let your images scaffold each of the various moments. Or put a bunch of images on the screen. Maybe it's trace the background, so you need to go from events to events to event to event. But don't just put little tiny guys on here. Take your pictures, make a copy, maybe sure your students can see what's going on. A best practice for us to always have words on a screen would look the way it does. Peacock and beautiful images are on the screen. We can do the same thing. We can learn from that. Now, make sure you share your presentation with students so they can see it. We completely learned that at the beginning of the presentation. You always want to turn on your sharing settings. And one of the easy ways to go big or go home on this one and to share at the same time is to have your students look at the same presentations you are on their screen. Well, first of all, this is the link sharing. So you come in, and I love on anyone in MCPS can find and access. But you as a teacher can do on anyone who has the link. That would limit it to just those people who you share the link with. If you're a big sharer, you're in a sharing mood, on anyone can find access would let other teachers use your stuff, and that's, really love you. When you share your presentation, and I have done that as well, anyone can come and see it at the same time with you. So, but one to share with kids, this is the trick, is I want to ensure when they look at it, I don't want them to have to press this present button. It's kind of annoying, right? So you can come up to the very top of your slide, push this word edit, and type present. Do that, switch word. We share that link. I'm going to press enter, and you'll see. It's shared presentation, which is watching this now. Get back to edit down here in the little gizmo here and go to open editor. But what it lets me do is it lets me share my presentation with my students in presenter mode. Up here to share and change. Everybody has access, and MCPS can find an access, but you can do it with just the link. It's good for you. And I can comment, and then I press save. Right, I just shared the regular link with everybody, and I'll do that right now so Lynn can click on it. As I share it with everybody in the link, it will come and look like this, an editor version. If I change it to present, it will show up in presenter mode in the first place. A presentation like this is that when other students are looking at it, I would know, like say I see Lynn, or anybody else actually, if you're out there and you want to click on it, please by all means go for it. And I can see that Lynn is here, and if I ask Lynn to move to slide, we don't want, maybe not go home, go big or go home. If I ask her to go to slide 29 with me, who else with me? I'm going to ask Kara to do the same. If I ask them to go to slide 29, I can actually see where they all are as well. And if I ask you to come to the slide, your little faces will pop up on the slide, and I can tell where you are. So if you share your presentations, students can look at it. It's really big. They can get a good view of those political cartoons or those images or those maps or those graphics. And you can also actually tell where they are when they land in the presentation. Go ahead and throw them in the chat. If not, smiley faces or exclamation points, and we're good to go. Now, what's important should be obvious. To me, if I gave an analogy on this one, it makes me think of walking into Walmart with a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old. It's obvious where the bathrooms are. I need to know that information. At some point, I'm going to have to get there fast. But it's surprising how often things like that are hidden in stores. We do our slides to have the same problem. Information on this page. It's not the different colors. I'm not quite sure which color does what. The images, which may or may not focus my attention. And there's some asides in and whatnot. So if you're going to use text, not big blanket images, try to organize it so that it makes sense. So that important is really obvious. I'm using a trick of creating a text box, or text, like a square. I just created a square, that's all this is, text in it. The sidebar, this gray bar is, hey, this is our title, this is your focus question, and over here, here's with the information. It has to be a word. Not that they're blood libel, but you can see that an image is prompting something. The focus question is on the side, and this is where the teacher, the instructor, would talk about what this means. Ready for the next topic? The next topic. All on one page. But illustrating a point, you can do it right from your presentation using called research. If anybody out there has used research, go ahead and share in the chat. I'm going to my little model over here and show you what it does. I click text box and I type in something like Roosevelt. Not my baby analogy. I switch it up a bit. I right click. Is it gives me over here this nice little research on Teddy Roosevelt. I can see the basic facts about him. I can see some pictures. I can even see some links. Okay, what's a picture of Teddy? I can drag good old Teddy over. He comes with a citation, so we know exactly where it's supposed to be. And I got some wows there. I love that my students could look up things without having to go out to the internet. And I love how fast it is. Sometimes I say things like cut down the words, and I say things about using matching images, but I think it's faster. You right over here, we turn the slide into Teddy Roosevelt. And we got over here, maybe a focus question here, and I got a picture of him. And now all I have to do is share the notes. On that, fantastic. If you have any questions, throw them in the chat. But do note this works not only in Google Docs. So talk about writing papers, very helpful. Now for you, again, I pull this little guy up here. Most important. I put this one up here and I say, hey, what's the most important one out there? How do you know what's most important on the page? Here's another example. I'm back to the same one as before, where now you know what the most important information is because it's pulled out and put on the top of the screen. Or if you look at this, the most highlighted, the thing you see first, is this gray at the top. What's the topic of the text, right? That's a big gray bar. How many times do you go into a PowerPoint or a slides template and they put this giant bar for a title? And the least important thing on the page is the giant bar on the title. That's not what's most important. What's most important is what is and the examples. So you want to use a template that really stresses what's most important. topics be used as keywords, not the example, but what the topic is. You want templates that hold you in space. So here's my next little fun example for you, and this is called Slides Carnival. These are designed to go with Google Slides. If you pick a good template, let's go even something simple, it will help you highlight what's most important. I get that most of us are not, graphic designers. Like, I know that. But it doesn't mean we can't look good. So let's start by doing a little bit of cheating, if you could call it such. And let's put a good template that helps focus information and really display nicely. You'll go a long way. It's called Slide Carnival. I'll copy and paste the link and drop it in there. And most, I have to say, if you agree with me, you can say yes. Most of the templates that start in Google Slides, it's probably the worst part of the whole software. They're really ugly. Slides Carnival will give you beautiful ones that will look good. It's like that moment we started getting templates in PowerPoint that weren't just PowerPoint, right? This does a nice job of that. And you guys agree with me? They're really ugly. Let's not use them. Let's use some nice ones. Start with a blank screen or should be obvious. To match you need to engage your audience and pull them in, and what's important should be obvious. So, a quick example. I think you can make slides faster this way. I've used 3 rules of thumb. Consider how easy it is to pick a topic like the Mongol Empire, right? And just throw some text on the side of your screen. Here was literally draw a box. So if it wasn't here, I can come up here and box. I draw the box, right? There's my box. I could fill it in with any color I want. I'm happy as a clam. And if I right-click, I can send it to the back. So I have my box. I'm nice and lined up. And next thing I need to research is the Mongol Empire. So all I'm going to do is highlight it, right-click, and click Research the Mongol Empire. And social teachers out there, I'm pretty sure I pronounced this wrong, but don't worry, before I've ever taught it, I go to my best teacher, and she says it to me, and I memorize. But I'm going to just click on this little map and throw it over here. I want the space because we're going to go home, right? I fill up as much space as possible, just a smidge. And then my last rule of thumb, let's engage them. So where was the Mongol Empire? It's easy, it engages them, it makes them think, the images were easy to find, and you're off to the races. Rules of thumbs for awesome presentation and the cool apps you can use to support them. If there are any questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat. If not, give me a big smiley face. Great, so we typically have a couple reoccurring features that we do in Appy Hour, and this one is going to go into the realm for teacher eyes only. And it's using an app which to support communication called Bitly. Has anybody out there used Bitly before? If you have, give us a yes or, woohoo. Has recently become a fiend. Arlene has as well. What Bitly does is it creates the short links you've watched me use today. So this slide presentation right here that I wanted you to go see, I did in Bitly. And I can tell that 9 of you have clicked on it and when you clicked on it. So it's a fantastic app for being able to track if people are using your stuff and getting to them faster. We use it for Appy Hour all the time because I can tell how many people have gone in and checked out, let's see, find a good one here. Started with slides, which is a nice follow-up to this one. If you like this presentation, you'll love getting started to slides. Link in there. Plus, it's easy for students to take a link like this and quickly copy it in. So if you're hanging out in your slides presentation and want to get them to a page fast, you can paste a link up on the screen and say, say go here. This works really well too. I know we have at least one administrator in the crowd. If you want all of your staff members to look at something, everyone look at the agenda for the day, make a short video link. You can know before you get to the meeting how many people have actually clicked on it, so you have some sense of how much it was being used, and you could throw it up on a screen and they could pull it up on their phones, on their email, on whatever device they happen to have with them and follow along with you. And customize it. So this is just a generic gobbledygook one, but we've got lots of ones that kind of speak to what the topic was at hand. It's very, very fun. And if you're doing it with students, it's a nice idea to use the master slide, view, master slide, copy of that link on all of your presentation pages. I'm going to put it on the master up here. Any students who come in late, and if you want to know where they are, like, where am I? They can come in, they can sit down, they can open up a Chromebook, and on every single page out there, you'll see the big link so they can get to where you want them to go fast. And on our little for your eyes only moment, Biddy, go ahead and throw them in the chat. And if you give me a nice little emoticon, press on. I want to thank everybody for coming and let you know that there's more support available. Not only webinars every other week, and we're going to put a couple more on to the very end of the school year, backed by popular demand. Folks said they want us to continue, so we're going to go ahead and do that. Every school has 2 instructional technology specialists like Lynn and I, and we are available to help you when you need a hand. And in addition to that, don't always Google it. A lot of the ideas that we find, the things that we bring for you today, are just ideas that we said, hey, can we? And we've looked it up. So don't forget, in your instructional technology specialist, you can always Google it, and we're glad to help. But whether you've live, so you guys are with us here today, or if you've watched it on recording, maybe take our follow-up survey. I'm going to throw that in the chat for just a quick second for you. As soon as you do, you can feel free to close out, or if you don't, they're right open for you. When you watch us live or on a recording, you'll be able to get, push the wrong link in there, pardon. I don't want to go too fast. We'll give you credit in PO for coming. So when you watch this live or you on a recording, we'll give you an hour PDO credit. And so thanks so much for coming with us today, and have a great day. Thanks so much for coming. Hope you found something to use in your teaching. And if you do, don't forget to share it back with us. I was our lead speaker today. I've been doing versions of, I have to admit, I've been doing versions of this presentation for almost a decade now, with new softwares and different types. But we do often have teacher experts come on. We interview them. We ask their questions. We see what's going on. So if you, too, might be one of our experts, so stay in touch. I just threw my Twitter handle, which I give announcements and updates. It's a way to send us back a hashtag GAF Appy Hour, and we love what you're doing. And thanks for a great and googly.